Hello my beautiful hammerhead and welcome back to another video. In this one I'm going to recap the whole lore of Dawnbringer's Book 3, The Long Hunt. So let's not diddle-daddle, let's dive in. Okay, I have so many notes on this that I don't forget anything because Book 4 is going to be, well, on the shelves on Saturday. Let's see when mine arrives. But yeah, okay, Book 2 in the Twin Tail Crusade ended in almost a catastrophic failure. On the Axian side, Trucebreak has fallen, and on the Gyran side, the same happened to Fort Gardas. The Forces of Destruction, well, lived up to their name. Messages of the news arrived in the twin-tailed city of Hammerhal, and the people were not amused. Voices who were not convinced of the crusade had more weight behind them as they fueled the fires of dissent. Supreme Pontifex, because there always has to be a bigger fish, Elethru's wings spread his beliefs and religious fervor through the city of Hammerhal Aksha. Again, because why else would the Crusaders venture forth after such devastation if not for Sigmar's blessing? The believers again disassembled wheels everywhere to spare them from a future of, well, usage. This included the cogwheels in the manufactories, and with that deed the production for weapons, ammunition and armor just stopped. This, of course, vexed the Grand Conclave's very own hidden hand, Zane Delorius, you know, the spy master whom we met in short story number 5 with Callus and Toll. It took him a while to stop the cults Umberogen to burn people in the streets. Now, after just a couple of weeks, the voices of the believers, well, the voice of the believers, is stronger than ever before, and even in the Council of Hammerhal itself. The military, however, is in high morale, as Talia Vedra came back with about 20% of the Crusade's forces and fought back the Khorne worshippers and the Skaven. But the Prime Commander Catrick Le Gouillon, I don't know if that is pronounced correct, I just wanted to sound Bretonian, shared her thoughts of the positives and negatives about the Twin Tail Crusades with Talia Vedra. On the other side of the Realm Gate in Hammerhal Gyra, the mood was again the mirror of Hammerhal Aksha. The news of the martyrdom of Garda Steelsoul was perceived in more of a hushed silence, and his death was unknown. Because Bellacor's magic is still around the Cursed Skies, but to be fair, we know that he will come back, he just got a model. The whole city mourned his loss for 3 days and 3 nights. And rumors of Rotigus Rainfather crossing the borders into Sigmar's territories were spread, and claims of the Everqueen fighting the Greater Demon in a duel of reigns were heard. So yeah, we know that this is a thing. For us, this is not rumor. I promise this will make sense later, but somewhere in Gur, Kragnos is active with a retinue of Gobsprak, the Mouth of Morg, and some cruel boys as he's looking for something inside a chasm. He, of course, as the god of earthquakes, brings the walls down and finds a realm gate. But this realm gate just gushes out water without end, as on the other side apparently is an ocean or a river or something like that. Okay, we caught up with everything in Hammerhal. Let's talk about the Twin-Tailed Crusade. In Akshi, after the destruction of Trucebreak, our Dawners, now under the command of Pontifex Zenestra, were hard pressed by the Grots, the Bad Moon, and ultimately the Loontide. In an absolutely stupid move, the followers of the Wheel, so the cult Umberogen, did the thing they know how to do best. following the orders of Pontifex Zenestra, the one who told them to remove every wheel of every vehicle despite everything. And even though earlier they did it with some vehicles, their religious favor helped them to carry all those stuff around. Now they were slowing down because there's just so much a body can take. And after 3 days, the Grots caught up, started killing the backlines. But yeah, everyone just left their comrades to die, as the sacrifices made in Trucebreak bought them the time they needed to escape. And again, the decision to remove the wheels, well, they did spend the time. And reports from the scouts brought them, however, great news, because magma droughts were on the horizon. Well, as they were seeing the magma droughts, Doomseekers ran past the Dawners and attacked the Grots without mercy and the rage of 1,000 unfulfilled grudges. Because in Book 2 we had the situation where Truck and all the Gloomspite Gits were thrashing magma holes left and right. The city Duardin felt a one knee in awe and respect as the golden gleaming armored shape of a Duardin came into view, and it was the most powerful runefather of all, Baal Grimnir, the one from the White Dwarf articles. Zenestra, of course, used this moment to proclaim that Sigmar was with them and that the help of the Fireslayers is a sign. Not to mention that Zenestra had to give the Runefather gold for their services. And again, the Dawners of the Crusade of Fire are not done fighting. Right in front of them, as they reached the Heartblood Sea, the most legendary of Khorne's mortal servants, the Gortide, attacked. As the fight was fully going on, salvation arrived in a most spectacular way. Again. So first, the Fireslayers who beat the Grots, not beat the Grots, the Doomseekers were holding them off, so everyone could just walk away. Now comes the Gortide, and immediately, of course, lightning from the heaven, the Stormcast Eternals, under the command of the legendary Vandus Hammerhand, he's back, arrived. Riding, of course, his loyal Dracoth Kalanax, and accompanied by Sigmar's favorite assassin, Neve, and her Black Talons. The Gortide was outnumbered, and they retreated. Using this time, Zenestra asked the Lord Celestin for aid, but Vandus' burning resolve paused even the devout Zenestra. His hunt for Korgus Kul was more important than anything else. Only the Black Talons decided to stay with the Dawners, as Vandus was no longer the shining demigod of legend anymore. Because there is a balance, but we will come to that later. After that, a long passage of fighting comes up. Because there is a lot of fighting in Akshi, I will just skip that. And the only interesting part is the Hammerhands are fighting the rest of the Gortide. Ionis Cryptborn with his new friend, the Draconith Thorak, comes to aid. Because why not? And of course, Ionis and Vandus are talking a little bit in between fights. Ionis lives up to his name and speaks cryptic things to Vandus, asking him on how many times he has been reforged over the last decades after Archaon shattered his soul, and how many times he saw the Lightning Man. You know, the vision whenever he gets reforged that now slowly lurks into his waking hours, that warns him of doom in the future, except Kragnos, which might be him from the future that makes him more heroic every time? That one. But also a topic for another day. But yeah, after that, they killed 2 of Korgus Kul's Gore-Chosen, the ones that were introduced to us in the Realmgate Wars. Vandus dispatched the Bloodstoker Vec the Flayer, Ionis killed Thrax Skullbrand the Bloodsecrator, while Cathorak got rid of a Bloodthirster. As the fights died down, literally, Ionis told Vandus that he is on official business from Sigmar himself, and that he can take every Stormcast he desires to his aid. The last words he leaves his friend is that he will come back for Vandus. And that's when they are going their separate ways again. The Hammerhands and their fight against the Godhide gave the Crusade the time to run away, but walking into a thick mist as they got closer to the Swelter Gulf, the next stop and their well-deserved resting spot, they got attacked again. Of course. Lorai, Child of the Abyss, companion to Neve Blacktalon, warned the Dawners that these are the signs of a fellow Idoneth Deepkin. The battle did not wait long. The Idoneth attacked their usual way, fast. Baal Grimnir and his Fire Slayers stayed calm as they were expecting the Idoneth. Using the heat of the magma droughts, they got rid of the mist and their chances of fighting back grew exponentially. After a little bit of fighting, the Achillean king Molpir, who was leading the Fuethan forces, knelt in surrender. Zenestra wanted the king to be executed, but Lorai and Hendrik, acting as, well, per usual, as advisors, stayed their hands. The Fuethan would not jeopardize a non-aggression pact without reason. Molpir warned the council that something is coming. The magic of Akshi changed and the hour of ruin awaits. Very cryptic again. His martial pride injured, Molpir demanded a duel of honor against Neve. He died. The surviving Idoneth were tasked to hold the advance of the forces of destruction with the aid of several Doomseekers. The first time in weeks, the Dawners marched with the prospect of peace, even for a little while. The Hammerhalians are calling it the Akshian disaster. Korgus Kul is apparently back in Akshi, and the orb Infernia, so Akshi's chaos-tainted moon, is raining blood upon the Slayers. Pun intended. So now we're done in Akshi. Let me tell you what happened in Gairan. Sorry, it's just a lot. After the destruction of Fort Gardus by the hand of King Brod, his Mega Gargants and the Ironjaws, the Gairanite Crusade was in a solemn mood. The survivors, now accompanied by a detachment of hallowed knights, held sermons every evening to commemorate the sacrifice of Gardus' steel soul. Lining up in front of Marshal Isilla Thorian, many surviving citizens of Fort Gardus took up the coin Malleus and became part of the crusade. Those who were unable to fight were escorted back to Hammer Helgyra by the remaining Stormcasts. The Dawners reached Scabrous Sprawl. Legends say that here lie the remains of the world titan Behemoth, and ill will befall them when they disturb the resting place. Not knowing that King Brod lives here, by the way. So yeah, Brod lives in the remains of his dead father. And in my video about Book 2, I made a small mistake here, where I said that Sigmar was the one who dealt the final blow to Behemoth, but in fact it was the Celestin Prime who was wielding, of course, Sigmar's hammer Galmaraz. I got that mixed up, sorry. Yeah, but they have to traverse, well, the remains to reach the Neck. It's a passageway on the continent of Verdia that has two great seas to the east and west, so it's just basically a bottleneck. That's why it's called the Neck. But our Dawners are not alone. Tathomir of the White Sapling and his handful of Sylvaneth is still with them. Of Dryka, there is no sign after her betrayal at Fort Gardus. She and Tathomir had an argument as she bears no love for non-Sylvaneth, but our Warsong Revenant knows the importance of the Ever Queen's allies. although he only accompanied the crusade to ensure that they would not harm the forest in the area again. The tension between the Steelhelms and the Sylvaneth was thick enough to cut it with a sword, and Marshal Thorian, a Jadeblood, by the way, I forgot if I mentioned that earlier or not, would not let that split apart the union between Sigmar and Alariel. To bring both parties more together, instead of marching and fighting as separate units, the artillery would not fire anything resembling a tree, and the Sylvaneth would heal the injured Dawners, because apparently that was not a thing before. Scabrous Sprawl was a pocket for Nurgle's melodies, Skaven warpspawn corruption, and gods know what else. But Alariel's Rite of Life spell brought back the forest in full force. And above all is a holy Gyronite methalid named the Great Green Torque that shines with the light of the 12 major seasons of the realm, and illuminating everything below it with a creepy green light. Just imagine it like that. It's movie light for Gyran. The signs that they were not alone became more clearer the more they ventured into the directions of the Sprawl's heart, because bites were taken out of trees cannibalizing themselves rather than growing in harmony, and Tethamir and his fellow Sylvaneth were looking amongst the Sigmarites of who could have done such things. Because again, apparently that's a thing. But the answer came to them all by itself. Because in the heart of the Sprawl lies Titan Rest. It was an ancient Sigmarite hall of commerce that provided shelter once, but now a pack of Gogors were, well, feeding a maw pit. They, of course, also have a slaughtermaster named Bolk Lumbergulp that took advantage of Broad's absence and held a ritual feast in the name of the gulping god. In the very spot where one of his most legendary servants lay, so Behemoth. Maw pits were appearing everywhere and multiplying without end. Part of a unit of Wildercorpse hunters fell victim to one of those appearing maw pits before they were able to warn the rest of the crusade of the disgusting happenings in the pit. The rest, luckily, was able to run away in the direction of the crusade, but that was too late. The Augurs prepared to charge, and with the news of the Augurs desecrating the trees in the surroundings, Tethamir blew into his pipe and made a sound that no one has ever heard before, the call of the hunt. In that time, a little bit to the west, Kragnos, Gobsbrag and some crew boys emerged from a realm gate that was inside the river, the one we had earlier. Without the water, however, that was covering the area, grand ruins were uncovered. Kragnos was storming through the ruins of his former people, the Drogruk. Ruins, well, left by the Draconith because they destroyed everything as they were on a rampage of genocide. As Kragnos was in a rush to look for any signs of survivors or anything else, Gobsbrag and a small retinue were on their way to a cave system. Here they found glyphs depicting directions for any survivors, but the mouth of Morg was not here to help Kragnos, he was here to get rid of him. With that in mind, they destroyed the glyphs. And back again to our Crusaders and their Sylvaneth allies, the Ogres hit the Crusaders like a spoon in pudding. Bolk Lumbergulp dragged his hallowed maw pit with him. Marshal Thorian desperately fought an ogre, got knocked down, but before the ogre could finish the deed, Thorian was rescued by Balthonos, the first Thorn of Kurnoth. Beside him, curiously, were strange mutated elves, so half deer or other woodland beast. We will have to wait and see what is for us in the future. We already have Skaith's Wild Hunt from Underworlds and hints from Kulathis the Exile from Cursed City. Even though she herself is not mutated, but she is a follower of Kurnoth. With the arrival of Belthanos, the gastromantic rituals are being reversed and the former self-devouring trees started attacking the ogres. A second wind overcame the Dawners and the ogres became the prey. The combined song of Belthanos and Dathomir opened a lane, basically exposing the enemies within. The Sylvaneth retreated from that area so that the Castellite formations could blow the ogres to smithereens. Dathomir and his fellow Treekin stayed on their side, so on the side of the Castellite formations, trusting the Sigmarites to uphold their side of the bargain. Marshal Thorian's Jade Blood sang with joy the more the two parties came together in union. If I haven't mentioned it before, Jade Blood, by the way, means her mother was a Gyronite druid, her father was an Azerite city dweller. So the best of both worlds. The fight, however, was far from over. Now, with their unobscured vision, Bolg threw his ingredients at the Dawners, so everything he had in his war pot, marinating them for the maw pits to, well, eat them. Charging the Slaughtermaster, Marshal Thorian discovered her innate jade magic to topple the maw pot and injure Bolg. And the overwhelming force of the Kurnothi hunters gave Belthanos a chance to aid Marshal Thorian in her fight against Bolg, his song resonating with her soul like waking from a long sleep, because the longer she fights beside Belthanos and Dathomir, she awakens something inside her, as I've said, her innate magical powers for Gairan. The ogres fled after Belthanos killed the Slaughtermaster, but there is a drumming in the background, and it grows stronger by the second. Before we get to that drumming, because while they were fighting against the ogres, while Belthanos came, aided them, there is something that happens somewhere else in Gairan. The Council of Life gathered beneath the Oak of Ages Past. The Council of Life has 4 members: the Everqueen Alariel, Krondis, son of Dracothian, Karazai the Scarred, and the relic priest Lord Croak. They discussed the topic of Kragnos, on how Alariel and the Draconists are at fault and that they have to deal with the god of earthquakes. So by that I mean the Rites of Life spell weakened Kragnos' prison, and the genocide the Draconists, made against the Drogroth elevated Kragnos to become a god. But Alariel cannot be everywhere at once, so every time when she has a big spell, we only saw a glimpse of her fight against Nurgle and his corruption in Gairan, or against Nagash, or anything like that, and we always thought, she could be doing more, but she is doing more, we were just not able to see it up until now. So, how should they deal with Kragnos? They chose an arena in the Banyan Gulf, that's a great gash near Gairan's edge, so near the perimeter inimical. And don't forget, nothing says more than Council of Life than planning the death of a god. But as the 2 brother Draconists were giving the orders to their smaller kin, Alariel confided in Lord Croak. She tried to bring Kurnoth back. That's no secret, she's been trying that for a while now. She would have tried everything to prevent his fall. But how would she succeed in something when even at the height of her power she wasn't able to do so? With the help of one of his skink star priests, Lord Crow gave Alarielle a vision. So the ongoing fight of Kragnos against our Gyronite crusade with Beltanos and Tethamir by their side. But the relic priest's message was clear. Kurnoth is not lost, because Beltanos. Kragnos, as I've said, just plow through the Dawnbringer crusade before anyone was able to react in time, because Alarielle just saw the moment. The rumbling in the background was Kragnos hitting the Dawnbringer crusade, and yeah, just like they planned, Krondys came flying and slammed into Kragnos. Knowing that Kragnos is more powerful, the son of Dracothion pulled back out of reach again and again, trying to bait the Earthquake God away from the mortals. But as that is not fair, Kragnos has no ranged weaponry whatsoever, he just starts attacking the Dawners by bringing the bones of Behemoth down. Forced to close in again, Krondys attacked Kragnos, but was overpowered because the god of earthquakes is just stronger than the son of Dracothion. Catching the Draconith by the throat, the Droguk began to crush his enemy's windpipe. Only the combined firepower of every surviving gunner of every kind gave the son of Dracothion enough time to slip free and fly away. Kragnos, of course enraged, ran after the coward. What Kragnos didn't know was that the Council of Life prepared a trap in the Banyan Gulf. Karazai, Krondys' brother, and the warband of Seraphon Starborn, or Starborn Seraphon? Doesn't matter, who were created so fast that their form is not even complete. They were already waiting for Kragnos, and what I mean with not even complete is there are basically holes in them where you just see the universe, which sounds really badass, by the way. But yeah, for just a moment as Krondys flew by, Karazai saw his brother's face, a face filled with sadness, unspoken words, and tears unshed. Because as much as they are brothers, they grew apart and usually don't speak to each other anymore. This is the direct opposite, the mirror, to Alarielle and Kurnoth, where she tries to do everything to bring him back, and here we have two brothers who do everything just not to speak to each other, even though they have to, basically. But yeah, Karazai and the Seraphon retinue stood before Kragnos and his cruel boys. For now, that is the end of the Twin-Tailed Crusade. We have a couple of smaller stories again, which I will just glance over really fast. We have Gobsprag rousing an Orruk warband in Gur, because he went back through the Realm Gate, dispatching the local megaboss, implanting himself as the new leader. He left Kragnos to die in Ghyran and convinced the Aurochs that it was Gorka Morkas and Kragnos' command that they should destroy every city of Sigmar. Of course, no one's going to argue with that. Yeah, then we have just a small missive to Lord Imperator from Hunter Prime. Ionis Cryptborn and his Stormdrake Guard saved them, but 9 of their fallen Stormcast comrades never reached Azir, even though the surrounding area is unclouded by the cursed skies of Be'lakor. What happened to those 9? No one knows. We have to investigate further. So, in my video of Book 2, I already told you, so Book 2, Reign of the Brood, I already told you about Astria Soulbright and her search for the remedy of the reforging process. In Shaiish now, she and her sacrosanct companions searched through the Charnel Court. Charnel Court? Charnel Court. But the only thing inside the castle they were now in... wait, I completely forgot something. The only thing they found was a realm gate that led them to Gairan. Now they are in a castle, and it was basically identical to the one they were just in. So they recognized all the makings of the same beings that made the other one. The inside of the castle was patched up with decaying flesh, tattered paintings of shining knights, but what no one noticed was the pair of pale eyes, hungry, excited, born from madness. So they are going to be attacked by probably Oshuran or a Gore Warden or anything similar. So the real end for our Twin-Tail Crusade is pretty easy to explain. The Akshian Crusade finally made camp. The Fuethan Idoneth helped the Dawners with their magic to forget the trauma and soothe their minds. A single cloud of bats flew past them, so maybe something with Neferata or one of the other vampires we have in this story. Also, far above on a mountain, Corgus Cool watched them. He did not attack immediately, as he learned to concentrate on the greater task. That was also why he was able to kill a continent in Gur. And yeah, that was a lesson his former generals never will learn, because he skinned them and was playing with their skins, basically. What I meant with Vendis in before, at earlier stage of the video, is because now Vendis is more focused on Corgus Cool. He's more of, forget the greater task, I have to dispatch of Corgus Cool. Which is kinda right, because Corgus Cool is becoming more and more a really impressive threat. And Corgus Cool was that. He forgot everything just to reach Vendis, and now it's vice versa. I love that. This is a great change. So the Gyronet Crusade split apart as Belthanos chased the last Ogres to the west, and Tethomir went to the Great Oak of Ages Past to report to the Ever Queen. As the Dawners were alone, they planned a new route. At their resting point, they discovered that the city was abandoned. People left in a rush, valuables still there, but bloody letters written on the walls paying tribute to the Summer King. Some wanted to follow the tracks of their new ally, but the more sensible members were not really convinced, as the messages were written in blood. And that was not the only outpost in this condition they found on their way after they rested there. So, okay, this was basically everything in The Long Hunt, Book 3 of the Dawnbringer campaign. That was, again, a lot. So, I'm excited for Book 4. And the Gyronet side, again, is more interesting as stuff happens there, and it's not only fighting. I have the feeling that this is a very dichotomy of a book. Maybe it's just what I want to see, but I have the feeling that the Akshian side is always, there is a fight. And on the Gyron side, it's more somber, more take it slow, talk about it. And there is motivation. So especially the Council of Life with the true Draconith brothers, Alariel and Lord Croak, when they are discussing everything, that is great. We get to see what they're doing. Kragnos even has a little bit more of a goal there, even though the rage gets the better part of himself. And by the way, he's very well spoken. I completely forgot if in his book he speaks. I can't remember anymore, but that doesn't matter, because we see him in the eyes of Gobsprag, where Gobsprag still talks like an Orruk, And Kragnos is, aha, indeed, well, my friend. He is really well spoken, and this does not fit well in my mind. Oh no, it fits well, but at first it was really hilarious. But still, yeah, the Drogoth, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. They were an intelligent race, so it really fits well. I really, really love that part. Ionis Cryptborn, again, interesting. Belthanos, again, interesting. There is a lot to come. I'm really excited. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section down below. I am keen to know what you have to say. And while you're down there, please remember to do all the YouTube stuff, because hitting buttons is not only fun. Why? Because that way we can build a bigger community and talk more Warhammer almost every day. And by that I of course mean like and subscribe. But until then, have a great day, my friend. Stay fantastic, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Bye!